Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this session of readings from the radio and other stories by Gil Ndi-Shang. Today we revisit Three Corners, Ntundip. As you gradually gained sensory control of your leg that had been mortified by the hips of the just alighted passenger, your mind began to wander and to wander, engaged as it was in remembering this place that was just a stone throw from home. Lo. You were now in Ntundip, meaning that as the car deaccelerated, the faces along the road became more and more familiar to you, especially on reaching Three Corners, even though you could not tag a name to each face. The weather was rather misty, and Three Corners looked a bit deserted, concealing the fact that it used to be a veritable hub, a place of social encounter where news virtually went viral. But the cactus tree was there, as fresh as the sub-chief of Dai, whom you had the impression never grew old with time. Three Corners is only a few minutes from the boundary with Lo and Taku. In the 1990s, there was one Mr. Mbi, a veritable entrepreneur, a health worker of the Lo Health Center who owned a provision store/bar around that place. He was from Widdicombe, but spoke Limbom with an English intonation very fluently. His bar was a melting pot and a meeting point, a place of local football commentary in the days of Dai revivers, the Quarters Football Club. It was a place where multiple stories were generated. He owned a disco set that used to grace the entire locality with tunes of the latest music in town, amplified naturally by the thick tuft maze of kola nut trees in that vicinity. The echoes of the music we heard across the borders in Lo, Taku, and Garum. Those were the days when homegrown artists flourished in that part of the country, with artists like Amumba with African Food Collection, Amumba Express, Donga Baby, John Minang with Fine Fine Woman, Greet the Dawn, Woon Man Give Me Chop, Niken with Mamiwata Alingo, Walter Tete with Give Me Bottom Belle, Daddy Lovette, Lemmy Moise with Nsung Jazzy, John Aire with John the Baptist, and Njisa Shafter with Kumela Mbaya. Dai Quarters even developed its homegrown dance style in the 1990s. With a network of shops, bars, and open-air stores, Three Corners was a place where people gathered in the evening to take a sip, to take stock of the day's activities, and to comment on what made news in the local community and beyond. This was true especially in the days of ghost towns and in the heydays of the SDF, with Ndu being a stronghold. As they shared a junguru, that's 2-liter bottle of sha, corn beer, palm wine or beer, tongues were set loose and news got inflated beyond proportion. Satzenbrau was the most popular beer back then. After a boozing spree as one left Three Corners at night on their way home to the far reaches of Ntundip village, the news they transmitted to places like Lo and Taku bore the imprints of their half-tipsy sensation. But Ntundip village is an interesting place altogether. Less endowed with territory than its neighbors, its inhabitants developed a near-Jewish business mentality and a highly enterprising spirit. By the way, Dai Quarter looks exactly like the West Bank in Israel. Perhaps this explains why a generation of prominent Ntundip business moguls dominated business in Ndu, Nkambe and Ako in the 1980s and 90s and even 2000s, amongst them Pa Lufthansa and Pa Continental, not forgetting personalities like Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. But unlike the Jewish homeland, Ntundip has been at peace with its neighbors, even though it had to fight tooth and nail to defend its foothold in the past. Perhaps that is also why, when it came to sports, education, and business, they fought with their whole lives, as if conscious that their survival depended on their human resources. Thank you and welcome to Ntundip.